Welcome back to Left and Right. My name is Michael A. Charbon. We're doing a program on obesity. Joining me today is Dr. Bernstein from the Dr. Bernstein Clinics. Also joining me is Ms. Jennifer Ozsungur and Mr. Stefan Ozsungur. And Nutrigenomix is their point in telling us about this brand new process which evaluates your saliva through DNA. When we left, I spoke a little bit about exercise. One of the things that Isolde Spies, who was our exercise physiologist, was speaking to was that there are many studies and many people who would say that exercise is an important component to maintain the weight that you've lost. We speak about yo-yoing, where you lose all this weight and then all of a sudden you retract back into your bad habits and you gain your weight back. There are many different perspectives on that. Obviously, Dr. Bernstein has his own perspective. What are your views on exercise? I mean, 1 in 4 Canadians are obese. More men are obese than women. And a lot of people feel, and both clinical studies have backed some of it up, stating that exercise is probably one of the most important components to weight loss and maintaining your weight loss.
I don't think there are medical issues or medical articles out there establishing exercise is a most important component. In fact, many studies show that exercise does not help with weight loss. Diet and food management are the key factors in maintaining a proper healthy weight loss. You want to lose fatty tissue, not some muscle or protein. And there's no doubt that the people who exercise are also better dieters. They're more committed. And there's no doubt that exercise is great for your heart and your lungs and your bones and your joints, etc.
But a sedentary lifestyle and those who sit on their butt,
yes,
their butt gets bigger, regardless if you take less calories in. If you don't work the machine can't help itself. That's the logic, right?
No, that's not the logic. If you need 2,000 calories a day and you eat 2,000 calories a day and you have the normal activity without extra exercise, you'll maintain your weight. That's the physiology. If you don't eat too many calories, you're not going to gain weight.
Jennifer, Stefan, how do you react to that? What is your feeling as far as exercise is concerned? They say if you walk, 2 miles, you lose 25 calories.
Yeah.
And there was a horrible study that says you don't lose very many calories with sex. Now, how come what a drag that is. What a myth.
Yeah. There's a lot of misconceptions and things that we see in the newspaper all the time about obesity, and like you were saying just the other day, they were talking about how you can lose all these calories with sex, and there is a lot of myths. And I think when it comes to leading a healthy lifestyle, it's not just the one aspect that we're focusing on. It's not just diet and it's not just exercise. I think it's coupling the two together in order to obtain success in the long term. So I think both a healthy dietary regimen as well as exercise on a daily basis, and you were mentioning earlier, which is what I recommend to my patients all the time, is 60 minutes a day on top of their normal, physical activity, and that might be, walking to work or taking the stairs up to their office. So on top of that, 60 minutes a day is what I generally recommend, in addition to healthy lifestyle, healthy dietary regimen. So I think it's the two together, and now we have Nutrigenomix, which is a genetic component, which has been overlooked for a very long period of time. So I think the three together is sort of the future and sort of determining where people are and how we can live a healthier lifestyle for a longer period of time.
Stefan, one of the byproducts, or one of the things that has come out from Nutrigenomix is there is a potential to identify ADD with that. I mean, to think that something as simple as a saliva DNA sample to assist in looking at ADD is tremendous. Do you see Nutrigenomix expanding its ability to evaluate DNA for other purposes?
So DNA tests can be done to identify risk factors for diseases and chronic conditions, as well as mental health issues. But this is something completely different. What we want to understand is how our body responds to certain nutrients, and according to that, what kind of a diet they need to be on to prevent certain diseases from the future. With regards to the obesity factor, this is more of a prevention factor, and we can use it as a treatment factor, but the prevention factor is, A, do I have that risk for obesity, the genetic risk that if I do consume too much...
Precursors, right?
Exactly. Am I going to have a 70% chance of becoming obese? And if I do, here's the kickoff, is that when you do get a genetic test, there have been studies done that show that having that genetic information makes things a lot easier to do. It's a motivational factor. It's more informative. You know exactly who you are now. You're not the generic population, you are you. So at MyDiet Clinic, what we do is we preach that, once you've done this test, now you know exactly what you need to do.
What about ethnicity? I mean, you look at the Japanese and Chinese, the Asian culture, which embraces fish more so than many North Americans would do. Is that a factor in your evaluation? Does ethnicity play a component in your evaluation from a DNA standpoint?
Where ethnicity plays a role is the prevalence that we find of certain risk factors. So in one ethnicity, we might find that the genetic risk factor is a lot less prevalent than another ethnicity factor. A lot of things have been identified. I mean, if I sat here and talked to you about it, it'll take hours. But in most cases, 15% of the population that are going to be tested for this are going to prove positive for that risk factor for obesity. And the funny thing is, and there hasn't been evidence to show this, we have, a 20% population that is obese. That hasn't been significantly increasing in the past 20 years. It has been gradually increasing. But as a big genetic factor, as a risk component, 15%, 20%, is it possible that 20%, majority of them have that risk factor? We don't know. That's another thing that we might have to establish in the future. Interesting.
It's stated that obesity costs Canada $4.6 billion. It's billion dollars a year. As we put a bow on everything, Dr. Bernstein, I want to give you a moment for a minute or so. If you could just give me a little summation, a little bit. We've got about 2 minutes left, so I want to give Jennifer and Stefan an opportunity as well. But if you could, just give me a little summation about what you think you could do for someone and the hope that you could offer someone who wants weight loss.
Very important to understand. Anybody can lose weight. Everybody can go on a diet and lose weight properly. The key is, if you're going to do that, I feel that you need to be monitored by a physician who understands obesity and the comorbid diseases and manages them. You can lose weight properly, get down to your goal. Most people know how to eat too much, okay? That's why they're overweight.
Right.
Once you get on a diet, you're learning how to eat too little. After you reach your goal, you must learn how to eat the proper amount of food. It's a continual learning process and management process to prevent any rebound weight gain.
Dr. Bernstein from Dr. Bernstein Clinics, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Jennifer and Stefan, just a quick little summation on your nutrigenomics.
Yeah, I think as a dietitian, I've always promoted healthy lifestyle, like I was saying earlier, with a healthy dietary regimen coupled with exercise. And at the end of the day, I think it's the most important to educate patients to understand what sensible eating's like, and how to keep things in moderation, so people don't feel guilty for having a piece of chocolate once in a while. You don't want that guilt on your, on your conscience. So just sort of educating patients, helping them understand that it's important to eat well and to exercise in order to sort of stay healthy in the long term.
Thank you very much for both of you. I'd also like to say thank you to Isolde Spies, who was in our first segment, who is our exercise physiologist. When we return, final thoughts. I'm Michael Charbon. You're watching Left and Right. We'll be back with more right after this.